Hi everybody, I'm Trin Johnson and welcome to Dust in My Eye. So I'm sitting here at my desk looking at this perfectly blank piece of paper and trying to draw some inspiration from it. It's a good sheet of paper, it's arches, 100% cotton, 140 pound. I'm just going to get rid of that part of it. It's a block. So it's a lovely surface to work on. When I don't know what else to do, oftentimes I will set some parameters for myself and I generally paint a floral. So I decided to just stick with 3 different brushes. The first one I'm using is a number 5 Grabby synthetic quill, and then a Princeton Velvet Touch round number 4 and a Princeton Aqua Elite Rigger number 8. And I'm going to use my palette, my general all-around palette that I've had for years, and I'm thinking I'm going to use the Aussie Red Gold and Quin Rose. I think I'm going to pick a green later too to use, or I might do a combination of greens to get my green. I'm going to start with my quill brush and the Aussie Red Gold, and I'm just dropping some little bits of color down, nice and juicy color, thinking random flower shapes, maybe a bud. And then some on the other side of the page, just for balance. It's a trick to spread the color around but not do it so evenly. That's not natural to have it in a bouquet. It's usually, or in a planter, they're not like equally spread around, so you have to do some thinking. And I like odd numbers. That's the other thing. So I'm always trying to come up with an odd number. And now I'm just dropping a little of the Quin Rose in the centers, kind of, just to give a little variance in color. And these are big smushy petal flowers. I don't know what else to call them. I just like to smush the brush around and get some really loose, big petals. I just want the flowers to be different kinds. And then again, I like odd numbers, and I like to have one of the flowers fall out of the planter or the bouquet or whatever it is you're painting, and just have it down on its side. Now I'm mixing the Quin Gold, or the Aussie Red Gold and the Quin Rose, and thinking of like a hydrangea kind of flower or something with a whole bunch of tiny little buds. Using only 3 main colors, a pink, a yellowy orange, and a green, means that it's going to have a bit of a monochromatic feel to it. Not totally obviously, because once I throw the green in there, it's going to change things. But the flowers are all kind of monochromatic. Now I'm using a combination of sap green and perylene green and a little bit of cobalt teal. And that's going to be my general green. And I'm just trying to drop random leaf shapes around, because often there's not a lot of space in between the flowers. There's always some greenery in there. I'm not getting real picky. I want it real loose. Some leaves on the flower that fell out. And I've grabbed my rigger now because I want a finer line. And I'm going to do some spiky guys that stick out a little bit. And again, I don't want it like on both sides. I want some difference between the sides, some unevenness. So fill in a little bit of stems and such. And now I'm trying to get a puddle of the Aussie red gold, the Quin Rose, and a mixture. And I'm going to do some spattering. And this helps bring all the colors around and it gives you a chance to balance things. Now that brush wasn't making big enough spatters for what I wanted, so I went to the quill brush. A bigger brush is always going to give you bigger spatters. If you're trying to spatter something and you're getting little specks, a bigger, wetter brush will give you more. And now I am mixing myself a nice neutral, a dark brownish neutral kind of color, because it's basically red and green with the added yellow in there a little bit. So it's a very orange brown color. And I want to use that to make the planter, or in this case it's a planter because it's very long and thin, which goes nicely with this paper. I like to do the flowers first and then fit the planter around the flowers. I think I get a more dynamic arrangement that way. So I'm just trying to drop in this brown color around everything. But I'm not real picky about exactness. It just doesn't have to be exact. And now I want to go under the stem a little bit too, like the flower is kind of stuck, not laying flat on the table. I'm kind of flaring the planter out a little bit at the top. Now I want to make sure that my horizon line in my planter is the same all the way across, so I'm trying to fill in any little dots and areas where I think it would show. Now I have a clean brush, relatively speaking, and I'm just trying to sprinkle water over the planter area so that it will move the paint a little bit and I'll get a mottled kind of texture on the planter. Going back into my Quin Rose to get a little spatter at the bottom of the page now that I did the planter, and same with the Aussie Red Gold. And now I'm trying to get a little bit of a darker mixture to make a shadow under the rose or flower or whatever kind of flower it is, and the pot. Need a little space for some fresh paint. And I just want to reiterate my stem of the flower that's laying there and add some color to the leaves to give them some variance. Not trying to do anything specific and not necessarily every leaf. Just dropping some color on them. And I'm using a tissue to lift. There was still some wet paint, and I wanted to lift a little bit and get some highlights. And there's going to be a shadow at the edge of the planter where the leaves and flowers are overlapping it and hanging off the edge. So I'm just trying to darken that area a little bit in my imaginary planter on my paper that I had to imagine something onto. And now I'm going to let it dry. And here it's dry. I have my micron pens and assorted other ones, and this first one is a Unipin fine line. And then I have a Pigma brush pen, and I have a micron 01 and a micron 05, and a graphic 1 Pigma and a graphic line painter 0.5. So those are what I'm working with. I'm going to pick a small one. I want to start with something really skinny. Now, I'm not trying to outline these things. I'm trying to loosely draw the petals and such, and the leaves and all that. I don't want it to be an exact outline. I want it to be far from that. I want it nice and loose, a nice thin line. Just give the painting a little more interest. If anything, I'm trying to not be exact at all. Just this way I can get a little bit of petals, different petals in there and that kind of thing. Maybe give the leaf a point that it didn't have when I painted it quite as much as I want. But just thinking really loose, and especially this hydrangea-like flower, just little bitty squiggles and flowers. I like to start out with the skinniest pen first because it's a little bit harder to see, and I can go to the next level up and emphasize things that I like or places I want shadowed, or like the underside of something or the side that is not being hit by the light, which would be the shadow. And here again, I'm just trying to go around this golden flower. Gives everything a little more definition. And now I moved up to a bigger size. I went with the 05. It, again, I was trying to decide. Tried the uni first. The uni, and then I went with the micron. It was just a lot better. You could see it more, and that's what I wanted out of this layer. When I do my journal, which I do every day, I have drawings in my journal, and I always, they're little illustrative drawings, and I always do a dark side, a darker line on the right-hand side, a thicker line, and on underneath. And I just do that now intuitively. So you can pick any place you want to make your dark part. Just be consistent. And if you screw it up somewhere, no one's ever going to notice. So don't get like crazy about it. But I do a lot of it, so I just try and always stay with the same direction of the sun coming from the top left corner in my imaginary painting, because it's just easier. That just comes intuitively to me now. I've been doing my journals for so long. I think I'm on number 24 or something like that, and I do stuff in them daily. So years. Again, I don't want to get all the details. I just want to hit some of the spots and make them a little more noticeable, a little darker. Sticking to the right side and the bottom. And then I come in with the big guns. And I'm going to use my number 1, the thickest one I have. And you can see it's significantly thicker. And just hit some spots here and there, just to make things pop a little bit. Now this one you can really see what it's doing. Don't want to hit everything. And I'm just going again under where that shadow would be from the things laying over the top of the planter. And that's just the bottom of the planter. And that's it. So from a blank piece of paper, I now have this kind of illustrative floral, and it was fun and relaxing, and I enjoyed doing it. And if you enjoyed watching it, if you could hit that like button and the subscribe button, I sure would appreciate it. And I hope you got something out of it. I hope you give it a try. You can do it smaller. You don't have to do it this big. You can do it in a sketchbook. It helps you learn your paints. It helps you see what different colors go together. And it's just fun. We get to play with paint. What could, if you like painting, you like playing with paint. So anyway, if you would like to, please check out my Etsy shop where I have prints of my artwork, along with cute little monsters and other fun stuff for sale. And until next time, thank you so much for watching.